When Bristol visited the Stoop in the fourth round of the Premiership, it was a replay of last year's semi-final, and Bristol were looking to improve their performance from last time round. The first try was created purely by Harry Randall. It's a one-on-one step at the base of the ruck, where he perfectly sells that dummy. And then with the support lines and quick speed at the base of the ruck, and very good handling skills to control that ball away from the body, just allows Bristol to score their first try. Throughout the early stages of the match, Bristol were showing the type of form that had led them to finish top of the Premiership table last year. Quick off the base and spreading the ball, carrying well. This allowed them to score their second try of the match here after 18 minutes. Here you can see they just pick the gaps in the Quins defence, which Quins have created simply by not coming up evenly, spotting the long man. Here you can see the inward lines from the Quins defenders. Both Danny Kerr and Joe Marlowe are forced inwards because they've got a gap on their inside, which the forward runners are looking to exploit. Hence the man out the back can provide the overlap to exploit the space circled in white here. And then you've got Marchant in the backfield here, who quickly rushes to try and fill that space, but because of his angle of running, he's easily beaten. And then when Henry Purdy goes through the gap, he sells the dummy to Lewis Line, who's obviously very worried about the two-man overlap, and steps in for the try. Then Bristol moved in to score their third after a long build-up here. But it's consistent carries and hard work to keep the ball off for AFL Bristol. They don't quite seem to manage to get good numbers to their own rucks, but they do luckily keep hold of the ball. And then Bristol hit two hard lines off 9, where they attract defenders in from the outside and they don't have anyone folding around, which here you can see a huge space on the outside, so both Quins defenders have to rush up here, and then a tight line in between the two of them from Pietau allows him to go and score. Now Quins won't be afraid of the 21-0 score line, and they'll definitely be going out there and continuing to play the way we know Quins can, a very attacking style of play and not really worrying about the defence. They always have the opinion that they can always score more points than the opposition, regardless of how many they can put past them. And here is just a hard line from Eustace, which finds the space, and as soon as they're in behind and Bristol rush in to defend, they don't really have a chance. And here it's the cluster of Quins players around the 10 area of the line out just causes then Bristol to heavily over-defend that. Then Eustace with a in-to-out line from the centre position just attacks a weak shoulder then in the Bristol defence, and he goes straight through it. Then that Quins try really upset the momentum Bristol had built up in the first half hour, and they showed some of the mistakes they've been making in the first few games of the season. Here they ain't not realising a free kick would have been a quick tap and go, and then throwing a forward pass immediately off that. It's not the sort of play champions make. Then we can see, Tyrone Green possesses a huge attacking threat here and attracts a few defenders, and then Quins immediately strike out wide, and they've always got an overlap there. And then it is the magic of Marcus Smith who goes through that gap. And then it's just it's 2-on-1 play in the backfield, constantly support running, although you could say this tackle should have been made on Marcus Smith. Now Quins aren't exactly known for much of their forward play, other than their backfield forward play, putting through their hands. But here this drive only really makes ground from once it's splintered, and Bristol concede a penalty from that. But this is good retention of possession. It's flooding the forwards, which in this case would have created space outside. And then it is the pace from Tyrone Green who utilises that space. And then it's a huge carry from Don Brandt, who managed to bust the defender and then still have the handling skills to put Esterhazy in. Don Brandt wasn't done showing off his skills either, shrugging the first tackle and while being tackled, showing the outside pass to Pietau before hitting the inside pass with a change of hand to Marcus Smith through the gap he's just created. The Quins scrum has been one of the strongest in the opening weeks of the Premiership, and here it stays extremely stable before managing to shove their go ahead, just as the back row of Bristol start to put their heads up. And here's a great line from Northmore, coming from behind where the scrum was, so he's using his own players as a shield, and the Bristol defence can't see he's come in. And then with all the quality Quins have, from Marcus Smith, from Alex Don Brandt, it was the dummy thrown by Will Collier here on the quick turnover from Quins that really was the highlight of the match and throughout the season. Here you can see how Howley Randalls doesn't know that Sheedy is being able to cover outside him, and all three players then just rush that way. More scrum dominance from Quins gives them the real go-ahead here, but as the ball comes back it bounces and is a bit scrappy to Smith, who really doesn't mind that because he hits the crossfield kick to perfection before Tyrone Green on the 2-on-1 scampers in for the try. As we can see the scrum here, Quins are probably driving not quite straight, but still you see the acres of space Bristol are always giving Quins on that side. And as Bristol are forced backwards in the scrum, the backline's probably thinking they've got to drive up harder, and that just makes it even more difficult for Johan Lloyd to then cover the outside crossfield kick. Another scrum, but this one holds stationary, and as the ball's flicked back from Don Brandt, you can just see that Bristol are always setting up with an overlap, but instead he's pressurising the 8. They're expecting the 9 to be able to come out and cover the 10 position so that they can always drift. But what they're doing is that they're doing that on the open side of the pitch, referred to the short side. The short side is man for man, where they've probably got a better chance of using the touchline. But they do it on the open side, and that just means they can exploit it quite easily. And as Quins are attacking here, they get repelled a couple of times. Their maul gets dismantled, and then the forwards take it around through a few carries. Not really making too much meterage, but the ball comes to Marcus Smith, who with a bit of magic spots there's no one in the backfield, chips perfectly with a change of direction while he's doing that, and beats everyone to the ball still. Then immediately from the kickoff, Luke Northmore busts a tackle and is in open space. Arguably one of these passes should have gone earlier, but he managed to get off to Don Brandt, who's put in one heck of a shift to get from under the posts to catch up with Luke Northmore there. And it looks like a fantastic try, but unfortunately that pass there to Don Brandt was forward. Throughout this game we've seen Don Brandt's attacking abilities and how easy it is to exploit a defence that comes up at any sort of angle. But here Don Brandt comes up from the inside in a straight line. That just allows him to easily pick off this ball. It's a good thing 30 seconds before this they named him man of the match, because if they named anyone else man of the match and he'd done that, they'd have looked a bit daft, commentators.